Good evening, I'm Ronke Phillips and this is ITV News London. This time last year, Croydon Council was on the brink of bankruptcy. In November, it declared itself bankrupt and a huge £120 million government bailout followed to balance the books. Now £34 million has to be found with difficult decisions to be made. Martin Stew was outside Croydon Town Hall as they met to discuss the issue.
So, Jim, who is regularly swimming here at the moment? So we're swimming every week.
At St Aidan's Catholic Primary,
who would like to be swimming every week in here?
They know the benefits of swimming.
If you fall off a boat or any situation, you could drown.
It's very important because it's part of our school curriculum and you should be able to swim by the time you leave year 6.
Their nearest public pool in Purley closed during the pandemic and is now unlikely to open again because the council, which essentially went bust last year, says it can't afford the £3 million needed to update pipework and ventilation.
It hasn't been able to reopen because its air handling system fails the government guidelines for public buildings post-pandemic. In addition to that, there is a big bill for replacing plant equipment, and at the moment the council is not in a position to invest significant amounts of money in an ageing facility.
The next nearest public pool is Wadden, a 52-minute journey each way, requiring a change of buses.
Having got off the second bus, there's then the pretty tricky job of getting across 5 ways, this really busy junction.
Deputy Head Mrs Poole says the round trip will take half a day.
3 hours out of our day, which means I'm going to have to think about what subjects we miss in between, which is also not a position we want to be in because all subjects are important in the primary curriculum.
As well as school kids, the pool was regularly used by both mentally and physically disabled swimmers.
I'm totally gutted.
Paul has been coming here for 20 years.
I've used this at least once or twice a week. I have mobility issues, so therefore swimming is actually very good for me. In the last year and a half it's been closed, I've put on weight.
Swim England estimates 2,000 pools like Purley will shut by 2030 as a result of a lack of investment. Former world champion Mark Foster, who grew up in Essex, says funding exercise is cheaper than paying to fix the obesity crisis.
It's about creating good habits, and if it starts at an early age, being fit, being healthy, being active becomes a habit.
The council is asking for feedback over the next 6 weeks before making a final decision. There is a chance a new pool could be built by developers who want to put up flats on the land, but that wouldn't happen for years. Martin Stew, ITV News.
The inquest into the deaths of 4 men at the hands of serial killer Stephen Port today heard from one of the lead officers on the case. The victim, Anthony Walgate, was a young gay man and his death potentially involved drugs. But the senior investigating officer denied there was a bias in the way police handled the case. Transport for London has unveiled plans for a memorial to remember staff who lost their lives during the pandemic. 98 TfL workers died from COVID. The memorial is set to be a place of quiet reflection and remembrance. Police are appealing for help to find a missing 14-year-old girl. Hafiza has been missing since Thursday when she left school but didn't take her usual route home. She was wearing a hooded coat and a backpack. Next, Tyrone Airey was 46 when he died. He suffered a fatal overdose when in hospital receiving treatment for a sickle cell crisis. An inquest ruled that neglect contributed to his death. Northwick Park Hospital has apologised and now has a dedicated sickle cell unit. Divya Kohli reports.
A heartbroken mother remembers her son.
He loved music from a very young age. I have a picture of him about age 3, in front of a turntable. So from that age till he sadly passed, always interested in music.
46-year-old Tyrone Airey, who suffered from sickle cell disease, died in March this year. He'd gone to Northwick Park Hospital for pain relief. He was moved to one ward with no medication for more than an hour, and then to another ward where he was fitted with a morphine pump, but he was left to fatally overdose on the morphine.
Nobody called a doctor or anything, so from 5:30 until the 17th of March at 10:30 or 10:52, because the records weren't very legible as to when he actually died.
So you don't even know the exact time of his death?
I don't know the exact time of his death.
Tyrone was born with sickle cell disease, a genetic red blood cell condition that affects millions of people each year. The blood cells become distorted, causing excruciating pain. At his inquest, Barnet Coroner's Court ruled Tyrone's death was contributed to by neglect at the Watford Road Hospital. Tyrone's mother, Lorraine, says he wasn't monitored, and if the hospital had followed the local trust and national NHS policies, her son would still be alive today.
I'm just always horrified and appalled, you know, just at the inhumane treatment, because as I've said, it's not the first time, it's not the second time, it's not the 10th time Tyrone has been in hospital, probably 40 times in his life.
Northwick Park Hospital says, "We offer our sincere condolences and unreserved apologies to Mr Airy's family. We have carried out an internal investigation into the care and treatment Mr Airy received and fully accept that his care fell below the standards we would expect." The hospital has pledged to establish a dedicated sickle cell unit on its haematology ward and says staff have already undertaken improved sickle cell training.
What do you miss about him the most?
I miss that very, very special one-to-one time that we used to have, and the, you know, relationship that we shared where we could just look at each other and not say anything and understand, you know, what each other was thinking. You know, we might crack up laughing about something.
Divya Kohli, ITV News.
Today, in central London, almost 400 women who have achieved great things over the last year met for the annual Women of the Year. Among them, there was the Lifetime Achievement Award for Dame Esther Ranson, singled out for her work on Childline, Silverline and mental health. I spoke to her after the event. So there was such warmth for you in that room when the award was announced, Esther. What was it like being up on that stage instead of helping behind the scenes?
Well, it was quite frightening because I do know it's the event of the year and it's filled with people who've achieved so much individually, and looking round, I couldn't believe that I was getting the award when there are so many more women in that room who deserved it more than me.
I'm not sure that's true. I mean, we all associate you with Childline. I can't believe 1986 it was started, 5.5 million counselling sessions you've given in that time. I mean, it just shows what a need there is for that service.
Yes, and I'm terribly lucky because people associate me with Childline, and therefore young adults who have used Childline when they were children come and talk to me, and very often the first thing they say to me is, without Childline I wouldn't be here today. So it's doing amazingly good work. And of course these services wouldn't be able to continue to run without the volunteers, the staff that give their time for nothing. Absolutely. We have amazing staff who train armies of volunteers, both for Childline and the Silverline, and they do it out of real passion and commitment. And this award is really for them, because if the children didn't trust us, if old people didn't reach out to us, and if we didn't have the staff and volunteers to answer their calls, I would never have received this amazing bird. I think I'm a funny old bird, but this is a very magnificent one. Esther Ranson there, winner of the Women of the Year Lifetime Achievement Award. Right, it's time for the weather. Here's Sally.
Making the most of it, whatever the weather. Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
Hi there, and a very good evening to you. I hope you've had a lovely start to the week, a truly lovely start in Twickenham. What a cracking photo, Ruth. Thank you very much. We've got a mixture this week of cloud and sunny spells, touch fresher than last week, although temperatures doing all right for early October, and there will be maybe a few patches of mist and fog around in the mornings. Back to you tonight, quite a lot of clear skies developing outside, and under those starry skies, the temperatures dropping down, maybe not quite as cool as last night, but there is a chance of a few pockets of grass frost possible tomorrow morning in those prone spots, and a bit of mist and fog in some areas too. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, if you have got that mist and fog, that should lift. Best of any sunshine in the morning, more cloud moving in tomorrow, more low cloud as well. So a slightly duller day, but there might be a few bits and pieces of sunshine. It should be mostly dry during the daytime, and the temperature's just a degree down on today probably. And if we are going to get any rain tomorrow, it's most likely to come in the evening, a few spits and spots around, but most areas staying dry. Into the outlook, like I said, some cloud, uncertain amounts of sunshine, temperatures just dipping away a tiny bit more on Friday. Have a lovely evening, good night and sleep well.
Octopus Energy sponsors ITV London weekday weather.
And that's it from us. We're back on air tomorrow just after 6 o'clock with updates in Good Morning Britain. From all of us on the Late News team, good night.